What prompted your decision to pursue the Master Certified Coach credential, knowing it represented the highest level of coaching credentialing by the International Coaching Federation?
I got my first ICF credential in 2005, and then the following year I got my next ICF credential. I think there's such a large gap between the number of hours you need for the professional certified coach versus the master certified coach. And I've always coached as a part of many things that I do, including writing books and speaking and running the CaPP Institute. So I didn't have a set goal or a time frame. I just thought at some point I want to reach the highest level credential with the ICF. And I think as I have run the CaPP Institute over the years, and now as the coaching mentor for more than 50,000 Maxwell Leadership certified team members, I decided, this is the time. I knew I could do it. I could have done it some time ago, but I finally had the space and the time, and I thought, this feels right. Let me go for it.
As one of the few coaches worldwide who have attained the MCC credential, could you elaborate on the significance of this achievement, particularly concerning that fewer than 4% of credential coaches reach this level?
I don't think I realized until I obtained my MCC credential that fewer than 4% of credentialed coaches around the world have the MCC credential. That's so very meaningful because many coaches around the world aren't credentialed at all. So to be a part of such a small group of those who are credentialed means even more. For me, what it means is a dedication to the practice of coaching and upholding a very high standard of what that looks like. When I went through my first coach training in 2002, I knew almost immediately that this field was something special, even though it still was fairly new at that point. And as I was coached myself and began coaching people and seeing the transformation in myself and in the clients I worked with over time, I just felt a sincere dedication to helping others understand that this works. Just because something is new doesn't make it any less valid or valuable. And so as I've seen coaching grow over these last couple of decades, I think my dedication to upholding the standards of coaching and even kind of raising that standard even more by saying, hey, there's research that backs up why this works. My belief in positive psychology, kind of followed my decision to become credentialed many, many years ago. And so I want everybody to understand and to experience the power of coaching. And I think this is just more proof of my dedication to that.
Can you walk us through some of your thoughts, feelings, as well as the process of taking the MCC exam?
So when I think about my thoughts and feelings about the new credentialing exam, there were a lot. So, I took the old version of the credentialing exam when I got my ACC and then my PCC. And I kept hearing, it's not the same. And it's not as simple. It's an involved process. You need to be prepared. So that's what I was focused on. So the new exam, I guess it's not that new anymore. I think they started giving this exam in maybe the second half of 2022. And the aim of this exam is to make sure that credentialed coaches really understand how to apply the ICF coaching core competencies in real life scenarios in coaching. I love what they're doing. They've really elevated what it means to get a credential from the ICF, and this exam is a part of it. The exam is the last step in the credentialing process. So by the time you're invited to take the exam, you've passed all the other elements, your coaching hours, your training hours, your actual coaching recordings have been evaluated. So when you get here, this is it. And once you pass it, when you get that score back while you're sitting there, bam, you're instantly credentialed. So the preparation, a couple of things I think are important to know. I was going to do it online. I was doing the virtual, and it didn't work. And you can imagine preparing for an exam, you've got to, there are a lot of rules. So like clearing everything in your environment. The old exam was open book. This one is not. So you can't have anything in your environment. And you are being watched. So it's proctored, but it's proctored virtually. I had trouble with that. For some reason, they couldn't see me. My camera was working, but we never got it fixed. So I was prepared. It was a Saturday morning, like 7 a.m., and I spent almost an hour and a half trying to get this thing to work. And I was so disappointed because I had prepared and I got good sleep. I ate a good breakfast. I tried it again the next day. It didn't work. So I ended up going in to a proctored site. And I have to say, for me, that actually worked better because I didn't have to worry about all of the technology at all. I didn't have anxiety about if everything was going to work right. I could just focus in on taking the exam. It's 81 coaching scenarios, and basically you are giving the best answer based on the core competencies and the worst answer. So you really have to have a strategy, and it's timed. You get about a 10-minute break at the halfway point, but you really have to know those competencies. You've got to really think, how would this be applied in this particular scenario? I love also that it's proctored, that they know that the person who was supposed to be taking it is taking it, that there was no additional help, that they worked with so many coaches and researchers to develop the questions. So to me, this is just kind of part of the evolution of coaching and the discipline of coaching, and how we evaluate whether someone is adhering to these really great coaching core competencies. So be prepared, but you can do it. I've been coaching obviously for a couple of decades, but it's been exciting to me to watch many of our CaPP Institute graduates who are still fairly new to coaching, but have some experience, go in for their ACC credential, and they're passing that credentialing exam, many of them on the first try. But here's the thing, if you don't pass it the first time, don't worry about it. You've got the goal, set that vision that you're going to pass, go back, take it again. I mean, you keep doing it until you get to the goal.
Reflecting on your journey towards attaining your credential, what advice would you offer to coaches who aspire to reach this pinnacle of credentialing?
What I would say to any coach that wants to go through the credentialing process at each level is make the decision, do your research, and then just keep taking the steps along the journey that get you there. As an ACC, you're making sure that you're getting the training, you're getting the mentor coaching, you're getting those hours in, and you understand what the core competencies are. When you get to that PCC level, you're applying those competencies at a higher level. To get to the MCC level, it's going to take focus, determination, and consistency. Because when you look at the number of client hours, you're going to need at least 2,500. That doesn't happen overnight. If you're like me and you're not coaching as your only part of your business, or internal coaches may have a lot more kind of ongoing coaching hours that they're building up. But either way, it takes a while to get those hours. The biggest thing I would say is don't lose your passion for learning and for growth. What I learned in going through the MCC process was that there's always more to learn. It reignited my passion for coaching. I mean, I've stayed passionate over the years, but I began to see, oh, yeah, mastery is different from the professional level of coaching. It is being as open and as curious as you possibly can. It's listening at an even deeper level. And so what I find for many coaches that are coaching for a long time is it's easy to fall back into just habits that might not be completely aligned. Maybe they're 80%, 90% aligned with those competencies, but when you stick with this credentialing process through all three levels, I think it's another level of accountability to how you are coaching. And love of learning is one of my top strengths. So for me, it just helped me engage in a very powerful way. And because I think it's a rigorous process, it was challenging. And challenging for me is fun, especially when you're doing something that you love anyway. So just know it's possible. You've got to set the goal. MCC was on my vision board for probably 6 or 7 years. I wasn't always actively in the process of applying. And sometimes what you have to really do is say, okay, when I'm ready, I'll know I'm ready because it's a pretty involved process. And then I'll go for it. But I never lost sight of the vision. I knew it was something I was going to be doing in the next few years. And so I'm just glad that I did. It's fun when you're in your profession and you realize, yeah, I've reached this highest level, and it can be done if you stick with it.
Looking ahead, how do you envision leveraging your MCC credentials to further advance your career and make a greater impact in the coaching community and beyond?
For me, advancing to the level of MCC it was about me. We all like hitting those milestones, right? Especially when you're committed to your career. And that was a part of it. But I think a bigger part of it for me was, as founder of the CaPP Institute, it wasn't a requirement. But I believe as coaches, we have to walk the talk. And I wanted to walk the talk at the highest level. I wanted to be able to inspire our coaches that they can get to the MCC level. We've even got coaches that started in our program 10 years ago that are now at the MCC level, some that are on our faculty now. That's so exciting and inspiring to me. So I felt I needed to do the same thing, even though no one was asking me. By the same token, having had this opportunity since 2021, to develop an on-demand coach training for Maxwell leadership and serving all these amazing team members and coaches, I also wanted to set that example for them. So as founder of the CaPP Institute, as the mentor for coaches inside of Maxwell leadership, I just felt like this is what I need to do, not just for myself, but also for them. And because I believe in what the ICF is doing, for me, it only needs sense. So it was my next step. And I'm hopeful that those that are considering moving along, not only as perhaps a certified personal and executive coach through the CaPP Institute, but thinking, yeah, I want to get my credential, that they can look at my journey, 18 years from ACC to MCC, to say, wow, it's worth it. And when you reach that pinnacle, when I look at all the credentialed coaches around the world and I realize fewer than 4% of us have gotten to the MCC level, I feel proud. I feel proud of myself. And it feels good to feel proud of yourself. I think it helps you put that stake in the ground. Here's who I am. Here's what I believe. And I want to walk the talk. And as coaches, we have to do that. We don't have to be perfect at it, but we do have to be committed to it.